Welcome to the next episode of Path of the Jaguar. We have a returning guest, Mr. Kelvin. Thank you for coming back. We had a really good one last time. It ran a little short, I think. But
it's been a while. I'm happy to be back.
It's been a bit. It's been at least a few months, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's life, man. I know we're going to get into that in a little bit, too. It's just lifestyle. But that's it, man. There's just so many things that we have to run back and forth through doing. But we got to make sure that we keep these current because mine and yours was one of my favorites that we've had so far. But before we get into it, we have to keep these things going, man. We have to support ourselves. We have to put food on the table. We got to bring bacon home. Unseen fucking Cove. Hey! Have you not gone to Unseen Cove yet? You're out of your fucking mind if you haven't gone to unseencove.com. Have you heard of Unseen Cove, Kelvin?
Of course I have.
Can you? Crazy people, idiots.
What are you doing?
If you're gonna go, then you're not an idiot. Then that's fine. I don't mean to insult you people. There's a lot of shirts that have been going up, a lot of hoodies, a lot of hats. People have really been liking the stuff. I've been getting a lot of compliments on the Eric Khabib one and the Kanye one.
I like the last one you put up with the towing truck. Dude, that shit was so funny.
My car got towed, and I was just like walking home pissed, and then the inspiration just comes. Fuck the New York City Department of Finance.
We were just talking about it. Like the day before, and then that comes up on my feed. Like, it's great.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I have certain inspirations that come off just things that happen in my life. So I really did enjoy that one. The next thing I would like to talk about is something a little bit. It's something more impactful to the world. Shirts, hoodies, great. Support, look good, but I want to get into solar. Solar. The sun, you know the sun? The big gassy fireball in the sky?
Yeah.
It makes electricity now. Oh. Didn't always. Now we can, and it's a lot cheaper than what we've been doing. People don't know this.
How much cheaper?
Tons. I don't. Every house is different, bro. I can't give you a number, but there's states that you get $1,000, $5,000 from your state taxes. There's no install costs, no maintenance costs, nothing like that. You just now get your electricity from a cheaper source, and it's a lot friendlier. A lot of people that I've been selling lately have been talking about the environmental impacts of it, which is crazy. People are now aware of this. People weren't always. There's an email address in the description. All you have to do is email I am interested, and what I'll do is I'll get you a representative who will be able to get you numbers, get you some designs and things like that. Hopefully your house qualifies, because if you do, some more moolah in your pocket for helping the environment. I'm just gonna set a timer real quick just because I forgot to do that. Very, very unprofessional of me. But how's everything been, bro?
Good, man. Pretty good. So today, pretty funny. I'm on my way. I'm going to the city in the morning, and I'm on the LIRR.
The best.
And the train has to stop in Mineola on the way. So we're there in Mineola, and like I have my headphones in. I'm playing Hearthstone on my phone. I'm playing this game on my phone. So I'm playing this game, and then like I realize that we're here for a really long time. People are coming, like the doors are open. People are going in and out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Is Mineola where the crew stops, or is that just a regular stop?
It's just a regular stop.
Okay.
So I take my headphones off because I hear announcements, and they say, "Hey everyone, I apologize for the inconvenience, but there's a man on the loose in the tunnels on the railroad, and we're making a stop. The police, the authorities have told us to have a stop here, so I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but you're all gonna have to."
There's a man on the loose.
There's a madman on the loose, and the
Did you
cops
find out what he was doing?
So I don't know. So I'm there. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. So I put my headphones back on. I'm doing my thing, and like 25 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, and we're still there. And then they keep making announcements saying the same thing. I'm like, holy shit! I take a step outside, get some air. I'm just there. Come back in. Eventually, we start moving. We get to Jamaica. We have to transfer for some reason. We transfer to the train. I end up being like an hour and a half late to work. Let's do this. So eventually,
it was there for an hour and a half. It was there? Like, you guys were at Mineola for like that long?
No, I went to Mineola and then I went to Jamaica. Just the whole thing.
Yeah, because you had to transfer and all that shit?
All of that was just delays. And then...
New York City.
Yes. So I get to work and I find out immediately, because other people had the same problem, that there was a man trying to commit suicide. And the cops were chasing him, and I guess they caught the guy.
What was he doing? Like trying to lay on the train tracks?
People do that. A lot of people do that a year. The victim did say like,
there's got to be better ways to go, man.
Yeah, like you're holding up my day. Like I'm trying to get to work here. Like kill yourself in your own time, dude. Like what the fuck? It's crazy.
Selfish.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. That's crazy, man. Like I know somebody that happened not too long ago, where some guy like drove his car onto like the railroad, and then like the train hit it. But he was being he was drinking and driving. But to commit suicide by laying on train tracks, like how horrible did he think his life was? I know there's more complications with that stuff when it comes to suicidal thoughts and all that.
That's quite a way to go too.
It's got to be one of the more painful ways of going. Like,
I was thinking about it a bit. Somebody I bumped into, somebody at work, they said that they were on the train, and they said that either they saw him or people saw him pass by, on while they're in the tunnel, because he's actually in the tunnel when they stopped.
So the people on the train saw
a dude run across, and the cops were chasing him with like their flashlights.
Well, he was probably like waiting for a train to come by, and he was just kind of like building up the confidence to do it. Maybe.
I don't know. He got caught, and I guess they sent him to a psych ward or something.
Shit, because I've actually heard things like that. Now that you bring it up, that happens a lot in like Japan. Like suicide rates out there are crazy.
There's like a forest or something. Have you heard about that? There's a forest that people go to commit suicide. It's like I don't want to say the word sacred, but it's like a place. It's like
in a way, yeah.
A ritual, I guess.
Yeah, I forgot what the name of it is. Someone did mention it one time, but it's like something very like it does have like a sacred name to it. Even though that's awful, people are killing themselves, but there is a sacredness to places where people die, like cemeteries. They're sacred, like and people pick up on certain energies while they're there. So that would make sense that if there's like I'm still like on the fence when it comes to ghosts and things like that, but there's something to it. I feel like the amount of ghost stories that I've heard from people that I find actually credible, people who aren't gonna bullshit me on it. They're just telling about something that happened to them, so it's very believable. But like me, I think that like I'll start where what inspired it. So apparently this is going to be such a side rant, people will go, how the fuck did you come to this? But it'll make more sense. Apparently when you walk into a stable, the horse matches its heartbeat to you. Right? So if you come into a horse stable and you're panicking, the horse is going to panic. If you're more calm, the horse is going to be calm. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard that, I'm like, what actual connection is there? Like, there's got to be something. Like, I'm very big into materialism. Like, I feel like there's always going to be some sort of scientific explanation.
Do you?
I think so.
Okay.
So it's not like there's nothing there that's communicating from you to the horse.
You think there's going to be a physical explanation?
Yeah.
Like some type of law or mathematical?
What I think it is electromagnetism. So electromagnetism...
Maybe, because the heart brings out a pulse, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean, because I was like sitting there trying to like make sense of it in my brain, because it's not like...
That makes sense, I guess, but it's like, it's really weak. But I guess, maybe.
That's the one explanation I have. There could be other things that our bodies emit that we just still haven't discovered yet. But there's got to be something that's getting transferred from us to the horse.
Or it could be something else, something beyond material, something immaterial.
But it's still something that will be eventually measured.
Maybe it's not measurable. Maybe it's immaterial. Maybe it's a sense that we just have no ways of picking up on, no way of sensing.
I've had... Sorry.
Measuring it.
Yeah. I watched a video where Neil deGrasse Tyson was like essentially arguing something like that. Or is it... It was one of the big names in science. Maybe it was Lawrence Krauss. And that was like their argument, like when people go like, oh, like ESP, maybe we just can't measure the thing that's being passed on. But it's like, if our brains are picking up on it, if that horse's heart is picking up on it, and that at that point, that means we can make something that can replicate the sensors in the heart and the brain. So,
I mean, I don't think that's too strong an argument.
But the thing is,
if consciousness, can we replicate consciousness? Maybe is AI going to be the same as consciousness if and when we do it? Like, I don't know.
We can get that in a sec. That's a big one.
Of an argument.
But like,
But I get the
why
point.
can't our bodies create a sensor that we can't eventually, over the next hundreds of years, eventually create that can also pick up on that? Because if there's something that our heart,
I
and
think more
brains-
than likely, yeah.
So
Like
that's my
something like
point.
that.
Mhm.
I think I would agree that. You know, the whole horse example you used.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that science could, engineer something to measure that.
So now where I was leading with that was, if we are like sending out these electromagnetic pulses, which we are, we have circuitry in our body, especially our brains. All the neurons are firing electricity back and forth, and that is giving off an electromagnetic pulse. It might not be super strong, but at a certain point, there's going to be something that is sensitive enough to pick up those readings. And maybe when we die, we let out like one last EMP or whatever. And that's why certain places are haunted by ghosts. Maybe it's not like a ghost walking around that's conscious and doing things, but like old radio signals that are just passing by, and it passes through us and we can like sense them. Because there is definitely like you've been to the church in Alabama, right?
Yeah, I've been there once.
Golden one.
Huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. One time, I forget the name of it. Maybe I'll write in the description if I feel like it. Like they have like nuns and so on, like not buried, like I guess buried in the back, and like there is this weird sensation to the room once you realize, oh shit, there's dead bodies. Like, that might be something psychological and all that stuff, but I can imagine that like if there's a set like a forest with a bunch of people in it, there's going to be something that our bodies pick up on. It's a very woo-woo idea. Of course, it's crazy.
I've been thinking a lot about ghosts recently. This past, I don't know, few months.
Mm-hmm.
I never believed in spirits or ghosts. I don't know if I do now, but it's just kind of funny to say, okay, if you don't believe in ghosts or spirits or just things, entities, that means that the thousands, hundreds, millions of people that claim that they've seen ghosts, 100% of them were wrong. They were all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a profound thing in itself,
Mm-hmm.
to say that everybody was wrong. Even though it's very much possible, because the brain's very susceptible to illusion and whatnot. But I do think that I think that there's more out there, and I mean obviously there is, because I always use this example. But like bees can see ultraviolet light, ultraviolet, and
Snakes are infrared.
Okay. And then bears can smell from like miles away. So obviously we do have like a bandwidth problem. We can only see certain things. So obviously there is way more than what we can see. Obviously. How far out does it go into spirits and ghosts and energy or whatnot? Who knows? I've been listening to lots of Rupert Sheldrake.
Who's that? So the name sounds familiar.
He's the guy who talked about morphic resonance. A lot of people call him woo-woo, but I like his ideas. He's fascinating. He was talking about telepathy.
Okay.
He says he's done a lot of studies on telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way he does it is he sets up an experiment where he has a person. He actually did it with his child. I'll give you this example. He had his kid. His kid was like 7 or something, and his kid was like sitting in that chair but looking the opposite way.
Okay.
And then he would ask his son, "Am I looking at you or am I not?" And so he would either be looking at the back of his head, thinking about him, intentions of thinking about him, or he would be looking at the ground, not thinking about baseball or some shit. And his son, he did it with his son, 2 trials, 20 times each.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quick. It's yes or no. And his son got 100%. He got 40.
Wow.
Correct. 100%. And then his son was like, "Hey, I want to trade. Let's switch. How about you go?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah, we could do that." And then he did it, and he got like slightly above average. He got like 54% or something like that.
Okay.
And so his son, after that, he said, "Oh, like you can get it wrong. Like I guess I can get it wrong too." And then he did it again with his son, and his son only got dropped to 70%, because he says that he potentially put in doubt in his head.
Okay.
So now I don't know. And then but he also does the experiments with other people. I think he does it in schools as well. And especially with children, he finds get a higher percentage. But that people have this innate sense of telepathy, because everybody has the experience that you feel like you're being watched. You turn and you are being watched.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're looking at somebody and they're looking over here, and then they just turn and look at you. Like, it happens all the time. And then, like, dogs can, like, tell when their owners are coming home at random times. Like, he's done experiments on dogs and stuff. Like, he'll have people come home in different cars at random times, and the dogs will come, like you know, sit up, and they'll be expecting their, you know, their...
Well, the dogs, they'd have the smell thing. Like, kind of.
No, but, like, they put it in... You can't smell... The dog can't smell from outside in a car miles away. Because usually he also said that they pick up the intentions, like, when they're getting in the taxi or whatnot.
Okay.
I don't know. I just find it crazy.
No, I'm...
And I want to believe in that stuff because of all the sci-fi and anime.
And it's dope. It's dope. And it again, like how you were saying, like, how could we... Like, there's obviously a bandwidth problem. So, obviously, there's things that we don't know yet. And, again, we've spoken about this in the past, how, like, certain scientists could become very dogmatic and exclude a bunch of certain ideas just because it just doesn't sound practical. Which is, it just isn't... Like, it doesn't sound scientific.
Like, measurable or scientific or, like, material is just dismissed usually as superstition.
Yeah, but, like... When the first guy started discovering bacteria, people thought he was crazy and was into woo-woo shit. Because he's saying, like, you know where the word molecule comes from?
No.
He called them animalcules or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So they were like, to him, there were these little animals that lived in the water. And he's right, just not the great... Because anima means animated and moving and so on. So he's right. They're living things that were invisible to the eye. But now imagine explaining that to somebody now. Like, oh, yeah, there's animals that are walking by. They're just invisible. That sounds woo-woo. It sounds crazy. Yeah. But that's actual science now. Like, again, it's measurable at this point. And that's essentially what certain scientists are doing now, where it's like, no, there's no way that telepathy is right. There's no way ghosts are right and so on. When there's, like, not evidence, but there's definitely peculiar things that happen. And, like, one example I had, like, that popped through my mind when you were telling me the example with the kid with his head turned around, twins. Like, there's always this weird thing with twins, man, that they, like, know how the other twin is feeling. And sometimes, like, you hear stories of, like, a twin dying and the other one knowing immediately. And then you also have stories like that with just regular people. Yeah. Where, like, their son
the
or
mother,
their cousin,
the child needs me, my kid needs me, and then they actually go back and their kid is actually needs to be fed or whatnot. Like, that happens is often. And I'm not saying I believe in ghosts or spirit, but I definitely believe in things that I think there's more than what science can measure. But as far as ghosts and stuff, I don't know. Yeah. I've never seen it or had any experience.
Me neither, unfortunately. I'm the one that like I look for it.
Yeah, I do look for it.
Jesus had, like, you know, ghost stories in his house. I remember one time going there, like, and I'm like looking around the corner, like I'm walking upstairs, like, and of course if you're looking for it, it's not gonna pop up. But, like, one example is, like, my mom's been having dreams about me, and she asked me, she's like, is there anything, like, you know, that's been bothering you? Is, like, everything okay? And all this and that. And, like, you already know how my life's going right now, and it's very funny that she's just having dreams, and like, the way she was asking me the question wasn't like she was doubting it. She knew something was wrong. So she's telling me, is something wrong? I'm like, no, everything's fine. And she's like, no, something's wrong. Tell me what it is. I was like, what the fuck? And that's like a mother's instinct thing, but we might pick up on things like that. And that's why we always have those synchronicities of, like, times that I've had dreams of people, and then the next day I find out, oh, they're, like, coming to America. Like, oh, we're going to go live there now. And it's like, what the fuck? I literally just had a dream of you. Like, I saw, I hung out with Christian, and Rose was like, I was just thinking about you earlier. I'm like, you're a bruja. Yeah. Like, you're a witch. Like, of course.
That's a great example. That's the thing. Or somebody calls you, oh, I was just thinking about you. Like, that happens too much. Mm-hmm. You know what's funny? God, did I just lose my train of thought?
I'm gonna throw my thing while
I'm gonna get it back in like 2 seconds.
There is a probability thing that comes into play where, like, so many times someone would just cross through my mind, and then my phone starts ringing, and it's like, you know, kind of like how my phone is picking up the cellular wave from wherever.
From fucking Russia, you're getting radio signals from here. It's crazy.
But now, like, I'm getting a wave from the, like, whoever is calling me. Mm-hmm. But there also is a probability factor that comes into it. Like, if you call me and I go, Kelvin, and then my phone rings and it's Kelvin, it's like, but there's a good chance that I'm going to think about you. You're one of my best friends. You know, you guys always cross my mind. So there's that probability thing. Yeah. Kind of like the same thing with the telepathy thing. Like, if you do enough experiments, sooner or later someone's going to get it right 100% of the time, especially when it's a 50% question. But there, like you said, like how can, like dismissing it is such a profound thing. Like if there's this pattern that keeps reoccurring, like it might not be a ghost that's making these noises and moving things around, but it's something. Too many times I've heard stories.
My issue with you know, the scientists, the materialists, or whatnot, is not what they believe or that they dismiss it. It's that they're certain.
Yeah,
they immediately
those aren't actually scientists.
they're you know, they're contemptuous. They'll speak down to people who believe in those things because they know the truth. They have access to. They're gatekeeping, like the absolute knowledge, which is science. Science is the only thing. They're gatekeeping that, which is, you know, it's just arrogant. Even though it may be right, but to me, it's to my intuition, it's obviously not true. I don't know.
It's
Science
arrogant.
can't explain everything.
Like you said it, it's arrogant.
You know what's funny? Do you know Terrence McKenna? He believed that in the future, going out, there's going to be. So, I'm going to give you two things. This guy named Tim Freak, I believe. He has this idea, which is the idea I've had for a while. I've come up with, but he articulated it pretty cool. So, you know, there was the Big Bang. There was potential before the Big Bang. There was Big Bang. We move out, and then there's atoms, and then gases, and, you know, stars and planets, and everything moves forward. And then there's, you know, sentient beings. There's animals, then plants, animals, and then eventually primates, and then humans, and then the latest form of evolution, because this is all evolution, the evolution universe. We are the universe. Then there's consciousness. That's the most emergent thing so far.
Yep.
So the universe so far has developed into consciousness. There's this, you can say, intelligent design. I mean, I think it's God. I think the universe is God. But, so, why? Why is that even happening? What's the purpose? What is it driving to? Because Alan Watts says this thing too. It's like, wouldn't it be so much simpler if there was just nothing?
Yeah.
Like, there doesn't have to be anything. I mean, there doesn't have to be anything. There could just be nothing. But why is there something? Why do we have this? And then why is it becoming more and more complicated to the point that, you know, we are the universe and now we can observe ourselves? Like, how fucking freaky is that? The world, this shit is crazy. Let's get back to my original idea. Terrence McKenna believes that there's going to be this, he pretty much believes that X-Men, that there's going to be mutants. Like, there's going to be people in the future who are going to have more, you know, powers of their psyche, who are probably going to actually have telepathy, who can start, you know, grappling with these things. And I think to a certain extent that might, I can see how that might be true. I can make it a very rational, materialistic
I'm going to say
way.
it's going to happen. I'm going to let you finish, but I'll tell you why
I can just say
think
it's
gonna.
IQ, because IQ is increasing. No, not a lot. I don't think IQ increases a lot, but we are getting more and more intelligent, and I don't think we're going to decrease in IQ. So the more IQ you have, people are going to, because, you know, the higher IQ you have, the more you can intuitively read people.
Okay.
So to a certain extent, you can say it's like, you know, telepathy, you can read people's minds or whatnot, but like, we can become more and more intuitive and open and creative the more we evolve, and the consciousness can become more in tune with what's happening. You can read more into the lines of, you know, the universe. So in that sense, I can see it, but it very well may be some whole other shit. People can probably start, like, I don't know, moving things.
Well, I'm gonna say that too. Where so like there's a couple things you said that I want to comment on. So we're like, yeah, our IQs are increasing and all that, and we'll be able to pick up things intuitively. Like, I can read somebody's mind by their facial expressions to a certain point. So that's me reading their mind. I'm gonna essentially know their thought, not word for word, and I might not be accurate.
Most of the time, we do that unconsciously.
Yeah, 100%. Just by body language, you go, "Oh shit, I'm in danger right now," and you're reading them. Yeah. But why I say it's definitely going to happen, and it's still within the workings of evolution, but past that, because evolution is now going to be working way too slowly for the way we're moving, because now we're going to be throwing in technology. So you already have Elon Musk, who's working on Neuralink. So
what's Neuralink?
It's just a company that he's working with. Essentially, it's going to be like apps for your brain. So like parts of your brain that are going to be computerized. Yeah. Because again, there's a bandwidth problem, and he's used that word, like, specifically bandwidth. Yeah. And then if you can throw in more powerful computers into our brains, we're going to be capable of doing more things. But now, if I have like a computer in my brain and it allows me to like do insane amounts of math and in small scales of time, and I can add something to my calendar by just thinking about it. I can open up an app without thinking about, well, by only thinking about it. And you also have that same computer in your head. I'll be able to send you a message. And isn't that telepathy?
Right. Yes.
It's telepathy.
Yes.
You know, and like if I can read your mind, I can hear things that you're saying to me without actually having to say the words. It's not woo-woo. It's because, like I was saying before, like with the heartbeat thing, you're picking up on some sort of wave. And if now me and you both have Wi-Fi in our brain, now I'm sending you a message because we're doing it now. Literally right now we're doing this. Even the people who are listening. I'm having a thought in my brain. Then somehow over, millions of years of evolution, our throats have been able to just throw out sounds in our mouths and make them into specific sounds. So now you understand what I'm saying. But by me throwing sound waves at you, you now understand what my thoughts are. So you are reading my thoughts because I'm passing them on to you. And the people who are listening to that, there's just more in between. Now there's the microphone turning it into sound waves, and then the speakers turning them back into sound waves. Like, well, you get what I mean. Sound waves turning into
right.
to digital turning back into sound waves. And we're doing that. It's just a slower process. But now when you have Wi-Fi and a fucking computer in your brain or whatever we're using at the time.
I think Elon Musk explained it as like, now that we have a phone, we have knowledge, instant access to everything. So like anything you want to know, we have it now. Because the iPhone's pretty much part of us now. Yeah. The iPhone.
Yeah. The iPhone specifically. Apple
already took over Apple. Yeah. So the phone's already pretty much part of us. But like, so that leap from we didn't have phones, the internet, smartphones, to having it, that change is, I mean, you can't even, it's way too, immense. But then the next step would be imagine it just in your brain, so you can immediately, infinitely, think about something into incredible depth at like this. Instead of having to like think it through the way we do now, it'll just be, exponential and exponential. Yeah,
like our thumbs can only type so fast. Yes. Now imagine instead of having to reach into your pocket, and that's it. And again, that's where he said like it's a bandwidth issue, because you can only put your input into the phone is pretty slow. Like, and then coming back, now you're reading it with your eyes and you're scrolling through it. Where if it's now automatic, like it's going to be the next step of evolution. And that's why I was saying before, where we're passing evolution. How long did it take for a cheetah to become a very fast animal, right? Now we just design cars, and now we're faster. We surpass it, but that is part of evolution, which is, because now we're using our tools.
It's also organic. It's not even like they got to change the name artificial intelligence. It's not really artificial.
Yeah.
Plants are just as organic as trees are. Just because we had something to do with it, we helped put it together. I mean, iron and these metals are still from the earth. It's still organic. It's just not I guess it's not carbon based, but it's still natural.
Yeah, and even if it is carbon, like another argument towards like it's because it didn't come out of us. Like literally, we didn't give it literal birth, like through a placenta and all these things. Yeah. But we did give birth to them. We are creating them, so they are extensions of us. And like if you were to follow like a tree diagram, like of the first animal to walk onto land to the machines that are going to be walking around in the next couple decades, like it's a direct path. Like there is definitely a connection. Maybe it's a little different because they're not going to share our genetics. But our genetics had a factor into their creation. And then we're also going to change because there's going to be, like people always say, like, are we going to create robots or are we going to become robots? Both. Yes. And in different ways. And like some people are going to actually have metal in them and machinery in them. But then there's also going to be like the organic computers that we're going to create. Like, because our brain is an organic computer.
Do you think that we're going to phase ourselves out? Are we going to like kill ourselves in the near future? 100, 200, 500, whatever, many years?
Yes.
Do you see that happening, whether it's through war or through these emerging technologies, or if it's just like our politics?
So are
you optimistic or pessimistic about the future?
I don't think it's a matter of like positive or negative things happening.
Because I go on both sides. Depends how I feel.
Nuclear war, it, like is possible.
Nuclear war.
Nuclear war. They pushed that button. Shout out to Sun Ra. Rest in peace. Where nuclear war, like, that's definitely possible, and that's a negative, like, that's us killing ourselves. But as for us phasing ourselves out, that's inevitable. Just like how the first hominids were phased out by Homo sapiens, you know, where it wasn't like a negative thing. It just eventually they were outbeaten through on evolutionary terms, where it's like, now I'm better.
So we're gonna get replaced by AI, is everything?
We're gonna be we're gonna be those.
Do you
things.
think you're confident that's gonna be the case?
Well, here, like, let me
make it that far.
We might not. So that's why I pulled nuclear war separately, because we might just blow ourselves up and then it doesn't fucking matter. There is no evolution. There is no continuation. It's done.
Well, I think when Kanye becomes president,
dude, there was a video that I was just saying I gotta watch it. Yeah, apparently he's like,
you saw the videos like on Instagram and whatnot.
I saw the one of him.
I didn't see any actual videos. I just see like stuff on Complex.
The Saturday Night Live one. I spoke about it in the short video that I had. But apparently there's a new one.
The one, yeah, he's wearing red hat and he's sitting with Trump.
You watched it?
I didn't see it. I just saw like...
It was literally just sent to me, and I was going to watch it right before, but we just jumped right into it. But
Kanye, man.
Kanye,
I know Chance was like trying to bring him like into Chicago to get like more involved in like the state and whatnot, but I don't think he thought this through.
I wish I would have watched it because we could actually talk about it, but I'm like, fuck, whatever. I mean, hopefully Kanye becomes president and he saves the world. But yeah, like nuclear war can wipe us out, but I see us being phased out, not like how like you see what it could have happened in iRobot. Like they made the robots and the robots could have killed them. That's not how I'm imagining it. What I'm imagining is decades from now, very soon, things are like this are already happening, just on a very rudimentary scale, where you go to the hospital and, you know, your wife is pregnant and they say, hey, you know, with this injection, we can make sure that your baby has blue eyes. We can make sure that it's a boy over a girl. And then they go, hey, with if you take these pills, then your kid's going to is going to eventually be 6'6". Eventually they're going to have, you know, plus 40 IQ.
Like you're going to into our genes, into our DNA and stuff.
And wouldn't that fall under the terms of artificial intelligence? Again, the word salud.
Thank you.
Salud. Just how we refer to, like, if we were to make a machine, and even though it's conscious, like where it's artificial, if we manipulate people's genes, people will agree in a certain sense that it's artificial. Because it's human. Again, artificial is not the best word because artificial means fake.
You know, there's
human influence is the better word for it. Human influence intelligence.
That way of thinking, I was thinking about it today. I find that way of thinking a little strange. Like, for example, when we always look back at like how we were at hunter-gatherers and where we were, you know, in those settings before, you know, large tribes or clans or whatever, you know, before politics started coming in, we were more egalitarian and hunter-gatherers. We always look back to that and see how we were and compare like our personality traits to like, oh, well, why is this personality trait? Why was empathy as a you know, opposed to aggression? How were they both, you know, valued then? Because, you know, the argument is we have all these different expressions of our, you know, different expressions because at some point in our past they gave us an advantage, you know, survival of the fittest. And so we always look back at stuff like that and to see like how things are today. But like to a certain extent, it's like, why? I mean, I get it because you can learn from it. But I feel like, why are we even doing that? Because we don't live there anymore. Like we live in a completely... There's been so much change in the past, you know, 15,000 years or whatever it is, that like, is there even really a point to a purpose to compare ourselves to then? Like we should just be like what it is now. And that kind of reminds me of where you're saying now, but like, is it still going to be, you know, organic when we do this? Like, what does it even matter? Like at this point, it's like, it's not like we can control it. Like it's happening anyway. So, do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like there's a strange thing where we're always trying to compare and stuff. But are these questions even relevant that we're trying to?
It might not be because, again, like to do the AI thing again, where it's like when people
I probably
imagine,
lost everybody there.
we
But.
lost everybody there. Like when people think of like robots, like, hey, it might not actually be a metal thing walking around. It might be something we might grow in a lab organically. So it's like you imagine it in a different way. Is VR going to be us wearing these thick goggles on our faces? Probably not. It might be something more like the Matrix, where it gets hooked up directly into your brain, and instead of lights being emitted into your eyes, your brain just creates the image, just like how you create a dream. So we always compare things to our current technology. You know, I brought this joke up when I was talking with CJ. The joke that Joe Rogan made is like, humans are like, well, what did they think of as better technology? Faster horses? They weren't thinking cars and planes. They were thinking faster horses.
Yeah.
And that's what we're definitely doing now. We're definitely doing that now. There's no way around it. Our imagination is very constrained and narrow. But I definitely see Homo sapiens, as we speak of now, are going to be gone eventually. Even if it's,
I know, like if we want to do space travel, like even like just astronauts that go in, orbit, when they're in their spaceships, I don't know what they're called, space shuttles, and they're orbiting the Earth, like it makes them like elongated, like
yes.
they become more like longer.
It makes your muscles softer.
Yeah.
It like
so
messes
like we
with their
can't
skull
even
shape.
because we're built to live on this rock.
Mm-hmm.
So like we can't even really space travel. I mean, I guess we can make some type of, we can engineer the inside of the environment of this, spaceship so that we can maintain our integrity, physical integrity. But if we want to populate other planets, I guess they're gonna have to be very identical. Like the gravity's gonna be very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Or as long as it doesn't kill us, we can just get there, and then we'll evolve through there. Because DNA, what the fuck is DNA? It'll just start going out there, and we can start populating other planets and evolve to.
Yeah, that'll
live
definitely
there.
happen. Because like again, when we eventually populate Mars, like our bodies are going to react differently. Because
People are gonna look fucking weird, dude.
People are they're gonna change, and then like even if like how different people were, like on the western side of the planet versus the eastern. They split off after the land bridge
Yeah, like you
disappeared.
go to Japan or China, like so fucking strange.
Mm-hmm.
People look completely. They're like the most exotic humans with their eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and their culture is just. I mean, Indian culture is crazy too,
Mm-hmm.
but like. It's fucking nuts compared to like Western civilization. We're all like proper and the suits, the military uniforms.
Did you just say that only white people are proper? I'm
saying Western
racist, bro.
Yes. And so it's like it's just the contrast is just immense. So, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live on Mars. Like, I guess they have to plant trees and stuff, but like there's no green. I mean, how are people? I don't know. People are gonna be out there gonna be weird.
Well, but no matter what, whether
everybody's fucking weird.
Yeah,
this game's
that's
weird.
But whether they're able to terraform the planet or not, like whether they make it identical, like there's trees and all these things, and there's animals walk around, the gravity is still going to be different. It's a little weaker there. And if they make their own atmosphere, it's going to be slightly different from ours. And the trees that grow there are going to be slightly different from ours, just because, just like how the trees in fucking South America look a little different from the ones in Europe. Like, there's different plants. You go to the Galapagos, the fucking plants there are very different because they were secluded for so long. And that same thing's going to happen, but probably on a faster, extreme level. If it's on a different planet, you're getting different amount of sun. You're getting that's why people have different complexions. If you were further north up, you didn't need as much sun, so they started
Melanin.
They started losing melanin because they needed to pull in more sun. Excuse me, because they're not in the equator, so because being darker, having melanin protects you from the sun. So you want to have less of it so that you can pull in more sun from the same amount. So that's why people are darker closer to the equator as they are from north and south of it. Same thing's gonna happen on Mars. People are gonna need to be able to pull in more sun because it's further away. The sun's smaller there. The gravity is gonna be different, so the bone density is gonna require like the literal physics of your body is going to be different.
I always find it funny that, like, from my understanding, Elon Musk is
a robot.
pioneering. Yeah, he's a robot. He's pioneering the fucking space program to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Like, it's not any government. We're all too busy, in power games.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk is fucking sending his car to space, and he's fucking
So
trying
dope.
to populate Mars and all this shit. It's just funny because you would think, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's fine. I think it's amazing. I admire the guy. But it's just funny because you would think, you know, the world governments would be the ones putting this program out.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk and, I mean, space is kind of a big deal.
Well, they probably
So-
are in a certain way. I'm sure he gets subsidies and
Yeah,
things
I'm
like
sure he
that.
does.
And then like, where he's the one that's the motivating force to get it done. It was the American government that created NASA and started the first space programs.
Of course.
Neil deGrasse Tyson was speaking about how those are usually how things start. Like when Christopher Columbus came to the West, he was funded by the Spanish government. Like the Queen and the King were giving him money and chips to get that done because they saw some sort of growth with it. But yeah, it's just annoying that they're not putting more effort into it. Like NASA's like less than 1% of the budget, even though every dollar that they put into it, it's like $1.25 that we get back, and we get all this different innovation, and we create all these really high-end jobs, and we ensure the survival of humanity. But they'd rather waste their time with other bullshit that we're still dealing with. So I see where you're going with that. But as you say, it comes down to the people, because Elon Musk is an actual genius, and he's actually motivating. He's passionate about it, and he's going to get it done. Where at a certain point, the government's only going to slow it down, because you have the bureaucracy of it and all that stuff, instead of just letting the geniuses loose.
To go on actually, it's a complete tangent.
Fine, that's what we're here to do.
I was thinking, I think we probably talked about this before, like, the world we live in now, I mean, obviously capitalism has all of its values, with bringing the world to wealth and medicine and, you know, longevity and prosper. And we're talking about water, tap water, you can fucking drink it. It's incredible. It's a luxury. It's like an infinite amount pretty much. But I feel like I was just thinking about this today, playing with the idea. And unfortunately, the ideas I think about without a lot of time aren't complete. But perhaps we live in a more, maybe we have to, in a conservative world. The world's more conservative than it needs to be. That's why
Not politically, right? More,
I mean, thanks for that. Conservative by temperament, meaning
Yes.
like more, you know, orderly and boundaries, and there's a lot of rules and order and laws in order to, you know, keep us safe. And I see the value in it. I'm not talking bad about it, but I'm saying perhaps we took a wrong turn. I'm not saying against conservatism, but perhaps we took a wrong turn a long time ago, and then that's why nobody has meaning anymore. Not nobody, but people are struggling for meaning. That's why all these problems in politics.
So people are jumping in front of trains.
That's what people are, yeah, exactly, full circle. So, because what do really creative people do as a living? Because you need a job, and you want to create. You have to create, because if you don't, you die, pretty much. What do you do? I was thinking about like having like some type of entrepreneurial business to like open up like a, I mean, they have it. They have like, you know, open mics and stuff, but maybe like maybe have painting bars and stuff like that. But I feel like we need more emergent things to help out open people, to give them outlets to, you know, express themselves. Because I feel like the world we live in is way to just get a job, get your shit together. What are you, a child? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, get back to work. And it's all that, and it's more conservative based and valued, and so that's why conformity, like, just do what everybody else is doing. Unless you have a really good reason not to, just do what everybody else is doing, because you're gonna suffer for it. And if you're creative, you gotta put a lot of your time into just working instead of putting it in your outlet. I mean, you can do both.
Yeah, you would need both. So like,
So what I'm saying is, like, maybe we could have had a world that was more liberal, and we could have moved forward to that, so there could be more exchange of ideas. We could be more, you know, open to creativity and not so serious. New York, like, not everybody. A lot of people are just serious. Take them by serious, I mean, like, take themselves seriously. Not that I'm saying that you shouldn't have a sense of dignity, but, like, if you can't laugh at yourself, or if you're walking around constantly using power games more than you need to, I find that creepy.
yeah,
Like, why do you need power so much? But I mean,
it goes back to the whole thing of it with meaning. Cause
instead of love or connection or truth or expression or trying to realize what we're actually in, instead we're just playing games and this is my stuff and I got to get more things and power games to compensate, make myself feel better. like prestige, and so it's just strange.
Yeah.
And these are like basic ideas you think about when you're like 17, but like there's a reason why people think about it at their age, because I mean it's obvious these are true things, but you need both, and the balance is off. So did we fuck up a long time ago, or did we, or is everything good and we just need to?
Yeah, we're definitely doing something wrong. Clearly. The amount of depression and anxiety that's like, especially in America right now, and then places like Japan, same deal. And I think a lot of it does come from, again, the more conservative mindset of we have to work and we have to get shit done, and if you don't get into the right school, then you're not going to make it, and then you're going to die, and you're going to be, and we have to chase money. But we do need that as well. You need it
because shit gets hard, and like there's a reason to worry and to want to get this shit together, because you're gonna end up in a fucking pit if you don't pay attention to what the fuck you're doing. You're not responsible.
Yeah,
you're gonna fuck yourself up. But people also over worry about those things, and they never really get to live. And then so when these people get old and they're in their 70s or 80s and they didn't do anything in their whole life. Not by anything I mean meaningful. I mean they had a family and stuff. That's meaning. But like as far as like work and what they did on the planet themselves, like most people, they realize that when they're older, and well, you spend your life chasing
the wrong shit. I got the car that I wanted, and I got this that I wanted. I got the really big house. I got the house that was just enough for me to spend 60 hours a work weeking. 60 hours a week working. Jesus. Yeah, and then like that's a problem where people, again, they value the wrong week work. I can't even do it again. But I want to point out that on the other end, the important thing is balance, because now people who are too liberal, like you do have people who completely detach themselves from the conservative end, where they're not being conscientious, they're not working at all, they're not doing the things that they need to do, and they're painting, I'm sure, and they're making music, I'm sure, but few months from now, years from now, they're gonna break something, they're gonna come across some sort of disease, and they have no money saved up. They
don't have insurance because they don't have a job that has an insurance plan. Yeah, they're not valuing that. They just, this job's good enough, and that gives me a lot of time to do this.
Yep, and then
that's why everybody says get a fucking job that has benefits for a reason.
Because now you're 60, 65, and you can't work as much, and now you don't have any money saved up. And now you're a burden to everybody else, because you didn't have your shit together. Now you're essentially expecting everybody else to chip in to give you money to do. So there definitely is a balance. Did we take a wrong turn? I think if we took a wrong turn, I think we'd be gone.
No,
I think
that's black. That's looking black and white.
I think so, because again, that's why there is the right and left in the political terms. Because if you go way too far left, everything gets destroyed. If you go too far right, everything gets destroyed, and you have to follow the middle path. And we'll sway a little to the left, and then we'll sway to the right, and we go back and forth. And if we make a 90-degree turn, I think that's the point where things crumble.
It'd be way too much change or way too much order.
And that's where I think while we have fucked up and we are getting really far away from what's important, a lot of those things are coming back up. Because people are now talking more about spirituality and purpose and all those things. From what I
look up, like on the internet and YouTube and Google, I see way more of it than ever. And I think there is more. There is more people putting this stuff out. But that's just my what is it? That's just my world where I'm seeing these things. Is there actually more speaking about? I mean, I think there definitely is more speaking about mysticism, spirituality. With like yoga is a huge thing, even though it's not real yoga. Yeah. It's still better than nothing. And
people are trying to get more fit. You see more people like really excited about working out. You have more people talking about healthy food.
Meditation's like mainstream now.
People want more information. More people reading.
It is coming in more. Because these are the things I'm talking about. These spiritual practices and rituals. I think that these are the huge things, and I talk about it every time. But psychedelics are. I really believe psychedelics, when they could be administered. I don't even like using that word, administered. People can take fucking shrooms and trip out in the fucking park and see what's really going on. Not that I know what's really going on, but you can see kind of, behind the curtain.
It would be a healthy thing for people.
I think that is the thing that we need.
On the last podcast, me and Monica were talking about how when she was in Amsterdam, like she walked into a place and she bought mushroom truffles.
Crazy.
They recommended the right thing for her day and all this shit.
That's exactly what I'm waiting for here.
Yeah, we
Save
don't even
up
have
your
that
money and buy fucking shroom clinics when they open up because you're gonna be fucking caking.
And the same thing, we're not even there with weed yet. Where if you want the right type of weed to smoke, where you're like, hey, maybe I want one that so I can sit back and relax. I want something that's like can help me with my anxiety, or I want one that's gonna make me more creative. We don't even know. You just buy whatever the person gives you because it's illegal, and it's like, and then because it's illegal, people are fucking with it because they want to get you higher. So they're like, I watched a video not too long ago on Kurzgesagt in a nutshell, where they're increasing the THC that's in weed and lowering the CBD to get you higher. And the CBD is where
Body high, right?
It's the more relaxing part of the weed. So like you have CBD oils coming out, and that's what people are like
Get
fighters.
anxiety? That's what I saw. That's what I hear when I hear that.
Yeah, people
I
that
just fucking get paranoid. In this.
Yeah, I get mad paranoid in weed, and that's the THC. It gives you the head high. And they're taking away the more relaxing part of it because it's the same thing that happened during the Prohibition. Hard liquor got really popular during the Prohibition because you can ship more alcohol in a smaller amount of container. So, instead of having 60 pounds of fucking alcohol, it'll be 100 pounds in the same exact amount of space. So you get more people drunker because you have to sneak it around. Same thing's happening with weed.
I think you lost me there. What do you mean? How did they?
So instead of
bottles?
so let's put it in this perspective. I'm shipping out 3 crates. They're all the same size, or 6x6. Let's say, no matter what, that's all the amount of alcohol I can ship. Is 6x6, 3 crates of it. Yeah. I can send beer, in all of them.
Oh, that's what you're saying, like higher. Okay. Yeah.
So yes, or I can do hard liquor, but I can make it like instead of being 10% alcohol.
Who's they? Like in California, where it's in Colorado?
So like in Colorado and California, in California, more so. You can go and you can say, hey, I want something more relaxing, or I want something that's going to make me more creative. Or you can be in New York where it's illegal and you go, hey, what type of weed is this? And they'll be like, I don't know. This is just what I got. So it's the green kind. And you don't know what you're getting. This is the shit that I got, and they can bullshit you on it. Like, is this indica or is this sativa? The amount of times I've had Indica. Did I say it right?
Indica. This is the Kid Cudi album. Indica.
Indica.
Shout out to Kid Cudi.
40 weeks of work. Regular weed dealers don't know that. You ask them, is this an indica or is this a sativa? And they'll be like, what? But now you can actually go to a legitimate place, and then they can actually prescribe you the right thing. And the same thing with mushrooms. You don't know what you're getting most of the time, I'm sure. That's a problem. We're fucking backwards. You're backwards, America.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's... The lack of meaning is obvious, and the people need connection. I mean, I rarely go to church, but...
Don't go to church.
It's kind of boring when I do. But I think, God, that's why Burning Man is huge, and it's getting more and more popular. It's becoming more and more of a thing. We got to fucking go.
Yeah, I want to go.
When is it?
When is it?
Do you know what time of the year it is?
Summer.
Okay.
Summer.
So, we gotta get that either next summer or the summer after. But those events are what bring people together, because you're able to act out of character. You're able to drop the mask or put on a different mask, whatever the fuck you want to do, and go crazy and be actually the animals that we are. Because, like I said earlier, whether it's true or not, the conservative world we live in, we're expected to be a certain type of way, and if you're not, you're gonna give people anxiety, and people don't want chaos and anxiety. That's the thing. That's everybody's enemy. So we all need to be orderly and wear our suits and wear our uniforms to act, play the role.
Impress people with, like, the amount of people that you meet who will sit there and like brag about their job or brag about the car they have, or again, like, just try so hard to impress you by...
Well, yeah, they may be convincing themselves,
things.
or they're convincing other people with that spell.
Yeah.
And then people buy it, and then they think that person's better than me. Like, wow, because they value those things as well. So if you value something and somebody's doing better than you, they're automatically more, they're higher up in the dominance hierarchy.
Like,
what? Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and which makes sense, like how you would want to be
higher
higher
huge, and people know that. If you value something or somebody, and if you value something and somebody at the time is better at it than you are, or whatever, like at work or whether it's music or sports or whatever, automatically you admire them or they're higher up in the dominance hierarchy by default.
Because they are. Like,
whatever that setting is. Obviously, it can change. You know, somebody could be better at cooking and somebody could be better at sports, and you can rotate being the person who's a leader or whatever, for lack of a better word.
Because there are several different hierarchies, so
like, I don't know if it's infinite, but there's
just about where it's like I'm higher on the basketball hierarchy, but you're better at the fucking cooking hierarchy, and
these are all values.
Yeah,
these
and
are
if you're
all
in that realm,
values.
you're
art and music and cooking and clothing and fashion and physical appearance and beauty and art and all this stuff, and you take all these hierarchies, all these different values, and then there's a set of all different hierarchies and values. There's certain values that are more valuable than others. What I'm saying, like ethics. I think ethics, being a good person.
So that's exactly what I was gonna bring it up to, where people like where we're lost and where, again, like the conservative thing that people really obsess themselves over and the material things that people obsess over, they put that as at a more importance than an ethical hierarchy. Like, those things should be cherished more. Like, oh, you're a really good person. Oh, you're very kind to people. You're very helping. You're very considerate. Oh, you donate. Like, those things should be valued more.
It's like almost obvious, but people don't talk about these things, and they don't necessarily think about it. Obviously, everybody knows that they should be a good person and stuff, but they don't really think about it. People aren't, very philosophical, which is fine.
It's like people would rather strive to be famous than to just be a good person. And, like, that's one of the things that I feel like people are lost with that.
You don't want to be too much of a good person, though, because then everybody's going to take advantage of you.
Of course,
so you need to cultivate your
You also want to be an intelligent person.
You also want to cultivate your shadow. No, you could be really intelligent and be a pushover. And
I guess you could be.
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of, engineers or, intelligent scientists or whatever. There's intelligent people who are nerds and they get picked on. That's like the archetype of a nerd. They're really smart, really, that's why eventually they do something in the movie or whatever, but they always get picked on because they don't know how to fend for themselves.
Is that strictly a power thing? Like, okay, so, because in my mind it was like, if I'm intelligent, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me.
It's a setting boundaries thing. If you're letting somebody pick on you, it's because you're not setting a boundary. Like, yo, chill.
But what is that boundary for?
Hey, there's a wall here. Chill.
What is that boundary for? What are you defending?
Your ego. I mean, what are you defending?
Yeah.
Somebody's picking on you?
Yeah.
You could say your ego, I guess.
Right.
But it's important to have a sense of dignity.
No, I agree with you, but I'm trying to figure out the source of it.
I mean, it depends how you play with it. Because if somebody fucks with me, I just laugh with them, so I take their power away. And then we're both laughing at myself.
So that's what I'm saying. Is it power?
It depends. This is a complicated thing.
Yeah, of course. And that's why I want to poke your brain on this.
Exactly do you mean? Like, is what a power?
So until, like, in my mind, if I'm being nice to somebody, right, and let's say I'm in school, there's a situation that I would be in, like, several times where, like, I'm good at doing the work. I know what I need to do on this, and then I'm also a nice person. So somebody every once in a while asks me, like, oh, like, can I cheat off your test? Like, yeah, sure. But then if it's like the second time, the third time, and the fourth time, it's like, all right, now I'm being taken advantage of, and I want to be nice and I want to help you out, but I'm an intelligent person, so I'm catching that. I'm aware that you are taking advantage of me. If I was dumb, I'd just be like, yeah, go ahead, do it all the time. You're like,
well, you could not care and be like, yeah, bro, yeah.
I guess
anytime.
Why
give me some fucking weed later.
Or let's say, like, not even cheating. Let's say someone asks you to do their homework. And then again, you want to be nice. You really cherish being nice, and you go, "Ooh, I'm helping this person. I'm going to do their homework."
Easy.
But now that comes into the power thing, because now you're getting an advantage. I'm saying,
it's like the jock, it's like, nice. Bro, what's up, man? How you doing, bro? Like, yeah, like, you do my home for me, bro? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then, like, that could be bullying, and that could be a power thing.
So now that's my point.
If the person feels like they don't really want to do it, but, like, they feel intimidated or whatnot, then yes. Or maybe they want to impress the kid and they want to be friends with them. So, but maybe the person doesn't give a fuck about them.
The
power is everywhere.
You can be. Yeah, it's of course. And that's why I'm asking.
It's an extremely complicated thing. It's not a. Power isn't like some. Nobody knows what the fuck power is. Everybody has like ideas. Power is like a thing. You know it when you see it. But it's not really something you can explain. There's so many different definitions. It's a chaotic system. Power is constantly flowing all the time. It's like the Tao.
So, like, the main thing that I'm trying to again poke your brain and see what you're thinking is, where you were saying like you don't want to be too nice. So
Yeah.
again, you want to help. Yeah, I'll do your homework. I'm nice. I'm gonna help you out. But then you start to realize, again, me saying being smart, you'd be like, no, you're taking advantage. I see what you're doing. I'm not gonna let you do it.
But if it makes you feel like you're getting taken advantage of.
But what is it? Why do you feel like you're being taken? Why is it bad to be taken advantage of?
Well, that's just the way. I mean, I get it. I would feel the same way. Depends how the person's coming across about it. Like, are you friends with the person, or are they just a person who only talks to you?
It's irrelevant.
I think it is relevant because, like, if they're your friend and they're always doing that, then they're probably just fucking lazy. But they're your friend after school and you hang out with them, then if you're not going to get caught and you're not going to have any repercussions, then I can see a person being like, fine, I don't care. But I can easily also see a person being like, no, like, I worked hard for this. I studied, like, do it yourself. You're taking advantage of the work I'm doing.
So the reason why I'm saying it's irrelevant is because let's just start there. It doesn't matter what happened before. You feel like you're being taken advantage of. You were doing it because you were being nice. Now I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Okay. Now I need to put my foot down. Now I got to stop you. I'm gonna whatever. Even though I'm doing nice things, that's why I'm asking.
Yes.
So you think it's power?
Yes, definitely, because that's agency. Because power is just the ability to get something done. So your agency is your capacity to do something. So if you want somebody to back off, you want to set a boundary. So you have to use power to push them off, to have them understand that, hey, there's a boundary here. You shouldn't be doing this. So that's a power thing. Yeah.
So that's where I was going at. Because again, like, it was a thing of
or at least
saying,
a resistance thing, which is power.
Yeah. Well, that's
doesn't
the thing,
necessarily mean you're maybe that person, like I said, is a jock. So like maybe they're more more intimidating, more they're dominant, let's say. But you can still put a resistance and use power back, and hopefully they respect that.
Yeah, and again, the words resistance and boundary, they're defensive words, and there's a
Not
fight
necessarily.
struggle.
You can frame something to be like.
Not physical fighting. I mean like a conflict, and that's power. Where the reason why I'm setting a boundary is so you don't cross it, because it's a defensive thing. I don't want you.
So I feel like conservative people tend to like power more than liberals. Because the boundary thing and the need to seek order is a lot of that comes from power. You need power to do it. Where liberals are more like, I don't like borders. Let's just mix things. It makes things more interesting and more novel and creative, and let's just explore ideas. And I think I may be, I'm definitely oversimplifying this right now. But like,
no, I see where you're
I
going.
have way
with
more
it.
better things to think about than think about power dynamics and all that stuff. I mean, like, using power and to get people to do what I want. So I don't care about you doing things for me. I'd rather do.
Yeah, they're not worried about that dynamic, but that dynamic is important. So like you want to be an artist and you want to be free and so on, but if somebody just comes in and snatches all your money because they have power, then now you can no longer buy the paint and do the things, and now you can't survive. And I think that is the important element there. The reason why you would want to set up boundaries and create power for yourself is because you want to increase your chances of survival. Yeah. And that's actually a big differing factor.
That's what girls like. Girls don't want a fucking pushover.
No.
Girls want a dude who's girls like, alpha dudes or dominant dudes who are able to, who can fuck people up or set up boundaries, who are intimidating, who can ensure your survival so you feel protected and safe. You don't want to be too nice. You need to cultivate your shadow to know that you have your, that source of strength inside you.
So now, do you think when it comes to power, it's primarily shadow?
I love these concepts.
Yeah, that's why I like. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so. I think shadow is just your repressed parts about yourself that you don't want to put light on.
But like now, if you're imposing power on somebody, this is a conversation we had a while ago. I forgot who you'll tell me who you got this information from, where power comes from the ability to hurt somebody.
Yeah, I like that concept. I got that from, I believe, one of the dudes who wrote at the end of Orwell's 1984. He said, like, the definition of power is your capacity to inflict pain on others. That's what power is.
That's where it's from, yeah.
Which I think is great. I use that as, like, my definition of power generally.
But now your ability to hurt somebody is coming from your shadow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Like, again, I'm trying to find, like,
it's complicated. I don't...
Very complicated. I know that. We're not going to figure it out now.
In a sense, yes. Because if you're inflicting, like, real pain on somebody, like let's say psychological pain, you're hurting somebody's feelings or saying something really mean to them on purpose, and you're aware that you're doing it, you may be, you know, incorporating your shadow, and you're doing it for a reason, whether they deserve it or you just want to enjoy that pleasure of being malevolent at that time.
So that's another question I have for you. See what you think about this. Where, let's say I'm defending my family, and I hurt the guy, and I'm hurting the guy because I want to be able to disable him and like now protect
Physically
my family.
hurting or
physically hurting him? Okay. He's attacking my family,
Yes.
and I'm knocking this dude out.
Yeah.
And I clean him out.
Yeah.
Is that malevolence, or is it only malevolence when I'm just like, I want this guy to suffer, and I'm like torturing this guy, or I'm just going and I'm attacking somebody randomly? Like, is that
these
shadow?
questions are so hard.
That's why they're interesting.
I don't think so, because I mean, this is all at that point. This is really relative, and when things get really relative, I'm quick to go like nihilistic or postmodernistic along these ideas. I would say no, because it's an ethical thing. You want to protect your family. You value your family. That's what you should do. That's what any normal human being should do, is protect their family. So no, that's not malevolent.
So that's where
it could be justice. You're trying to impose justice in the situation. This person deserves to get, you know, and that's a value, justice. Yeah. This person deserves to be punished for what they're trying to do. So I could say it's a righteous thing. It's a empowering, and you know,
no,
the
absolutely.
light.
Yeah. So like that last answer answered one of my previous questions, was if power is primarily shadow. So then it would be no. Because sometimes you would want power for an ethical reason. So now I have power because I want to be able to take care of my family, and I'm protecting them, where I can use power so that I can make people suffer, but I can also use power for good. So it wouldn't be just primarily shadow, unless you're just craving power just to crave it, and it's just for the
which is common
sadistic reason.
Could be, but I think most people, vast majority of people, you know, love power, really value power for the sake of value and power, because it makes you feel significant, and you get to get things your way, and who doesn't want that? And
then you're higher on the hierarchy, meaning you can get more resources, and you're also increasing your chances of survival, and
your serotonin levels are, you know, because you're not low in dominant hierarchy, so you have a better self-esteem, and obviously there's tons of real benefits to this stuff
that are not evil and not.
But you don't necessarily need to be imposing power on others to feel significant. You can just have a sense of pride in yourself and the work you do, or the type of person you are, or who you are as a person. You can have a sense of significance. You don't need to know that you're the dominant or person in a situation or in a hierarchy to feel significant.
So it's the intent. Why are you chasing power? Are you chasing
That's
power
why
for
I feel
survival?
like it's creepy, man. Like, power for the sake of power. A lot of times I find that shit creepy, because why do you want it so badly?
It's
not creepy is a strong word, but I find it like in a sense. I mean,
think so.
I mean this is like old. This is like Adler. Adler has like the psychology of like power. People seek power as a sense of inferiority. It's like an inferiority complex. So in one way to compensate is to seek power, because it makes you feel significant, because it makes you feel like you're better than people, and so you have a sense of significance. And it's relative. It's easy to get power. It's like there's so many ways to get power. So it's like a cop out. It's like an easy way. Instead of like honing your skills and becoming really good at something, having a sense of pride and like being a really good, you know, real estate agent or really great painter, you can have power in that, depending on where you go. Or you can just seek relative power by the way you speak to people and the way you carry yourself, and buying nice things and wearing suits and stuff, and you convince people that you're a really important person. And so you go to school and you get a PhD and for these things because you want the prestige. It's just fine. It's just, why do you want it? It's the weird thing.
And that's what I was going to go into, where it's
I think a lot of it is insecurity. Why people seek these things.
Yeah. Which literally, insecurity. You do not feel safe. You do not feel secure.
I'm not saying these things are unhealthy. I'm just saying I find it funny.
Again, as long as you're balanced and your intent's in the right place. Where pleasure isn't bad, but if you're just chasing pleasurable things,
too much of anything. Yeah,
if you're just filling in, like if you're trying to fix a problem with the right? You'd be hedonistic at that point. But sex is great. Like, yes, have sex. But if you're just having sex to fill in, to create purpose for yourself, then now you're filling in your spiritual like aspect of your life with pleasurable things, and that's never going to fix that.
I don't think that's. You're trying to fill that hole, which may be the lack of spirituality.
Yes, exactly.
Pleasure.
It's usually the thing that people try to fill in.
Bathroom.
Go for it. Enjoy. Little weak bladders.
I gotta pee, man.
So I want to tell you guys about my bladder and how I can hold in the amount of pee that I can, that Kelvin can't. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Path of the Jaguar. Thank you for your patience. I hope you guys have been enjoying these interesting conversations. While Kelvin's gone, that's something that I can talk about where we mentioned earlier, where we kind of feel like how people are getting dumbed down and people are valuing the wrong things, and how I was mentioning how people would... how people are reading more, how people are becoming more spiritual. This is another thing that I see people are more interested in, is long-form conversations. And the fact that you guys are watching this now, thank you very much for not only supporting, but for also being part of the... You mind bringing the water over here if that's what you're doing? But also for... being on the more intellectual side and valuing knowledge and personal growth and just information. Me and one of my other cousins, Christians, who was on not too long ago, we were just talking about how... I'll take that. How important it is to expand our knowledge, because it also gives our consciousness more of an ability to survive and so on and so forth. You get where I'm going. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for liking information.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, what else are you gonna do?
We could jump on to the next conversation, but I really do want to square off a couple things on.
I want to say another thing about shadow too.
Yeah, let's stay on that.
Like, if you want to feel power, right? Mm-hmm. You want to feel a sense of power, is like get to know that inner capacity inside you for like to that'll enjoy creating like havoc in the world, or destruction, or
chaos.
Seeing people suffer, like walking in the street and like with this intention of like this incredible like for okay, I mean, it's hard to speak about, but like, for example, I'll use the Combine shooters. Mm-hmm. Jordan Peterson. He says like these people were very nihilistic. They had no sense of meaning. They were very contemptuous against the world. They thought humans were like a virus and deserved to be exterminated. Mm-hmm. So you can really get into that mindset and completely understand that, because you can see like we're polluting the planet. We're just killing animals. We don't give a fuck. We're just dumping shit into the ocean. People are fucking, killing, shootings and all this shit. Like, we're fucking pathetic and worthless.
Lazy,
like, what the fuck is
gluttonous.
We're not really doing anything. We're just destroying the planet. We're abusing and using, mm-hmm. and we all have all this innate. Everybody's selfish, and how's it like? We all should just be killed. Like, mm-hmm. just fucking like, look at all these worthless fucking human beings who aren't doing. Like, you can really get into that mind state and like embody that, and and when you do that, people don't do that. That's the shadow. So you could say that's like could be an aspect of the shadow, to know your inner capacity to do that. Like Jordan Peterson says, like see yourself as a Nazi prison guard and enjoying seeing all these pathetic, worthless human beings suffering. Like, mm-hmm. good for them. While I'm fucking eating, look at them, they're all fucking kick them.
Yeah.
Like, you can be in there, and then that's fucking power, dude. Because mm-hmm. like you can see that you can be that and own that, and like, and it's interesting to play with. Obviously, you know that you have the capacity inside of you to do these things, but you obviously, once you know that you can do these things, you incorporate it, and then when situations arise that get you very flustered or frustrated or overly stressed out, you don't lose your control. You're able to maintain your temper and handle the situation accordingly, as opposed to if you don't, your shadow will take over you, and you
won't be aware of it.
You won't be aware of it.
Oh no, I'm a good person.
I only did that because of this, and they deserved it. But really, you did whatever you did because your shadow took over you, and you're justifying it by thinking you had the right to, punch that person or break his windshield because he deserves it because he's an asshole. But maybe your shadow took over you. And you didn't know. And you really wanted to do that, and you get enjoyment out of, punching that person or whatever.
So like,
that's your shadow.
Like thinking you're incapable of evil is just going to make you, it's not going to make you a good person. It's just going to make you make excuses for when you do evil things.
Yes.
And
yes,
people,
exactly.
which is, and that's kind of, it's an awareness thing.
People don't want to do that because it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was younger, I was willfully blind to malevolence.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I was like, oh, I'm a good person. I'm ethical, and I try to follow these Christian values. I've thought about it a lot when I was young. Christianity, it actually impacted me way more than I thought it did. Before I started listening to like people like Jordan Peterson and religion and Alan Watts and whatnot. But I used to think, oh, I'm a good person because of all these things. But then like Jordan Peterson talked about know your shadow, work on your shadow because that's one of the most important things you can do. Then I was there like, fuck, I need to fucking do this. And I was in anxiety and I went through the chaos and I think it might be infinite or, the shadow. I mean, it's your subconscious. So you don't, or not necessarily subconscious, it's just things that you're suppressing that you don't want to acknowledge of yourself. Like when you did something to somebody to make them suffer, but you try to justify it. But really you did it because you make them suffer because it made you feel good. Yeah. Because that malevolence.
And now if you are aware of the fact that you're capable of the malevolence, you wouldn't do it in that situation. Like, oh shit, now I want that person to suffer. That's why I'm doing it. Oh, okay. Again, I'm capable of wanting really suffering for other people, so let me not do it because that's the only reason I'm doing it. It's not because I'm virtuous and I'm going to fix this problem. No. My psyche wants to create suffering for that person.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. And
it is crazy.
Absolutely. And
people don't talk about these things.
Because there's the religious aspect of it where we think like, oh, God created us and we're good people and we're taught to be good and all that stuff. And so we think, again, we're incapable of it. But history, psychology would completely disagree. Where, no, we do have that in us. And like you'll hear people say, and I say it occasionally too, where it's like, oh, that person's a psychopath. That's the reason why they did that. Like, maybe. But just as likely or more likely, they're just a regular person who just like everybody else, Jesus Christ, has it in them and they're capable of it. And that's all it is. And it ties back to what we were saying earlier about power. And what I was trying to do was compare power to the craving of pleasure and the craving of a material object. And again, the craving of creating evil and suffering, where those things can come in handy in different ways. Again, having the shadow can help you defend your family. Someone's going to create suffering for you, and then instead you...
And it can help you set boundaries. Like if you're a really good salesperson or something, or corporate, or door-to-door sales or whatever, like knowing your shadow or whatever can really help you negotiate and speak for yourself, because you get this, this fierceness or intensity from inside of yourself.
Or like
especially with another male who's gonna
be aggressive,
a bigger build or the same amount of build as you or whatever, because like you need it's when you're debating or negotiating, like it's a conflict, it's a push and pull, it's a boxing match, and so you need to be able to speak with a sense of not intimidation, but you need to speak with a sense of force,
as well as
to persuade people and get what you want.
Like think about like when you're running a military, you're a general and you're dealing with terrorists. Like you have to again answer them with your shadow, or you're going to be at a disadvantage. And you also
want people are fucking, they got it. Like if you got
they've been doing that for years. But you also want to be aware of your shadow, because then you're aware of their shadow. Because if you can think the evil thing, that means you can think of what they would. They're probably already thinking. Because if you sit there and you just I'll never think of something wrong, and then that person can do something evil because and you'll be caught off completely.
That's a big thing too. That's one of the. There's so many valuable things from this, but like when you know aspects of yourself, like your shadow, like when somebody does something that's evil, you don't judge them and cast blame on them, because that's projection. So that's exactly what that is. When somebody does something like, oh, they're an asshole, you're a fucking jerk, you're just projecting aspects that you see in them that are actually parts of you that you don't know about.
Yep.
So you're just completely projecting when somebody's doing something. But like when somebody's doing something that's evil or whatever, you can laugh at it. You'd be like, oh, like I see what's going on. I see why they got upset there, and that's why they're acting that way. But he's a child. Like you don't like it makes things not as serious and significant. because it's like you know where they're coming from, you know why they're doing that, and you know why they're choosing to go off that way. Instead of just casting blame and judgment and trying to condemn them. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't maybe bring them to justice. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But yeah, it's just that's another thing.
Yeah.
And I love the way Alan Watts talks about, evil, because I really don't like the Christian way of original sin. That philosophy of original sin is we're all born into sin, and you should, pray forever because we're born with all these flaws and selfishness and all these vices and evil tendencies, and you got to pray a lot and hope God forgives you and strive to live the right life. Obviously, you should strive to live the right life. These are all true things, but it adds a very serious element to how you should live your life, as opposed to Alan Watts is like, I forgot the wording used, but it's like the malevolence in us is just a little salt in the stew of what it makes us humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just part of us. Everybody has malevolence in them,
Mm-hmm.
whether you know it or not. Hopefully you know it.
Yeah. Because you're less likely to act on it.
Yeah, and so if you know it, then it's not as serious when you see it. You can laugh about it. Like, that's what, like, a lot of dark humor is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can't laugh at dark humor, it's because you probably don't have your shadow integrated at all.
Well, there are people
because
who...
you're probably insecure about those things, and you're really quick to cast, judgment on that. But it's like, you can see the humor. I mean...
The thing is that there are people who use dark humor and aren't aware of their malevolence, right? Where they're just saying the joke because they do enjoy that.
Like a racist or something?
That can be one example. Or like, again, it's just a matter of your understanding of your psyche. If you're making jokes and you're making jokes to a wrong person, like, I can't think of an example, but like you're joking about killing somebody and the other person is like interpreting as like a real thing.
Yes.
And they like, especially a kid, and now the kid is thinking, oh, this is okay. That's a problem.
Yes.
Again, it comes down to the understanding of it.
It happened to me in middle school, dude.
What?
I'm on the school bus and like this, I don't know, this girl's picking on me or something. I don't share my feelings. I don't know. She's like making fun of me or something. She's like a little girl. She's smaller than me, and we're on the school bus, and I think I get frustrated, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. And I was angry and stuff, but I probably shook her. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember. And then like whatever, I go home. She doesn't mess with me. She doesn't talk to me. And then like the next day, I get called into the principal's office. And whenever I get called into the principal's office, I always pray. That's the one time I prayed to God, dude. I was like, God, if you please get me out of this situation, don't have him call my mom. Every single time.
I got you, Kelvin. Don't worry.
Time. I get in there and it's the girl and she's snitching on me. She's like, "You're gonna kill the." They're like, "Oh, you." I think I went to a guidance counselor or whatever, a counselor or a therapist or whatever, and said, "You're gonna kill." And then they talk to me and I'm like, "No, like."
I obviously didn't think.
No, I was just angry or fucking around. She thought it was serious. I don't know. She took it literally.
Yeah, and there's.
It blew my mind. I was like, what?
Like, what do they think? A 13-year-old is acting? But, like, that shit does happen, though.
Well, I mean, that's what they should have done.
Yeah, that was the right thing for them to do.
She took... No, you shouldn't have said that.
You shouldn't have said that. That's the wrong thing to say. But, I that's exactly my point, though, is, like, where... Again, because you were an innocent kid, it's, like, it's different. But, like, a person who... does have a more of an understanding, saying this to someone who's completely innocent and is unaware, they could influence, and that's where there could be an issue where people say like dark jokes and it's like, oh, you shouldn't say that around kids. They're right.
Yeah, of course.
Because it could be, the joke can be misinterpreted as something real.
Yeah.
But now it's two people who are again completely aware of their shadow, and realize like, oh, there is some sort of humor to it. Again, it's just as long as you're not acting on it.
And I love that we're mixing this idea with like dark humor and shadow, because I was thinking in my head, like, I don't want to overuse the word shadow and use this too much, but I mean really what it is, because that's the trickster archetype, and the trickster archetype is in the shadow, and they that's why like Loki, for example, is more evil, because he's the trickster and he's the shadow, and so that's why everybody loves Loki, and you're rooting for him because he's expressing an aspect of us that. And he's funny and he's witty and quick, and you kind of root for him, but he's the bad guy, and he's a trickster, and that's a perfect example. And that's what comedians are. They're tricksters, and a lot of they make humor at the expense of others. And hopefully people can have a tough skin and not You know, they can't even go to university anymore because all these social justice warriors, like,
Yeah.
people take them too seriously. But
Yeah, you can't get too obsessed over like you hurt my feelings, because there's things that are going to hurt your feelings. Now you're not being prepared. But it's a similar reason. The Loki thing is a very similar reason why people love the Kardashians, because they're very and like Jersey Shore, and then like LSP from Adventure Time, like that same character, where they're all very like hedonistic, and they don't give a fuck, and people like that because a lot of people aren't going to just say whatever they want to say. People aren't
it shows confidence.
it shows confidence and things like that. They're not the most ideal qualities of people, the way they again, like losing your shit over somebody and like hitting them and cursing and all those things. Those are within our shadow, and being able to watch that on TV, people really get an enjoyment out of it because those people act very it's a non-desirable quality, but people, it is desirable in the way that it's them getting to release the inner tensions that they have, which most people wouldn't. If someone pisses them off, they're not going to curse them out. They're just going to like avoid the conflict and so on, and they're just going to allow that shit to build up inside of them, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's why people do like watching the shadow being unleashed, even though it's not them doing it. There is definitely that pleasurable thing about it.
Yeah, like the news manipulates us, and they're always showing all this tragedy, and so they're taking advantage of, you know, the aspects of us that actually want to see mayhem or destruction or whatnot.
Oh,
I love it. Like, it's like UFC, dude. Like gladiators and stuff. Like, how would you feel if like there was like modern day gladiators, like actually people dying and recording,
like right
like
now,
on TV.
I think,
but like these people sign up for it, like
Yeah.
they're willing to do it,
I don't know.
like fight for the death.
I had this conversation today where it's like there's videos online right now, like you can watch like a tiger eat a human, and it's like I don't think I want to watch that. Where it's like my brain is curious, it wants to see like what that must look like. But the reason I probably don't want it is because I know the effects that can have. It is going to desensitize me to those things, and I'm aware of that. Where most people are just gonna go for the shock value of it and enjoy watching it. But I know there's no way that's good for you. There's no way watching that amount of violence is good for you. It's going to again desensitize you.
I mean, probably I agree, but maybe not. Maybe it's maybe we're already, you know, coddled and too innocent. We're like bunnies.
If you
we used to be savages, hunter gatherers, you know,
True.
killing fucking animals, hunting animals and being savages. Now we're
So-
oh no.
so
like
there you
UFC
go.
and blood, like girls can't even see that shit. Or
There you go.
guys, some guys.
plenty of
don't like
people,
watching.
and like, yeah, imagine to the point where like you're so scared of blood that you don't want to see it, but now you're in the wild, you need to kill an animal to survive, and now you don't want
You're
to do
not
it.
bringing value to anybody. You're getting kicked out of the fucking tribe.
You're
You
gonna
can't even
die.
fucking
You're not
kill-
gonna survive.
You can't even skin a deer or something. You know?
Yeah, so there is that truth to it, but there's definitely an issue of taking advantage of, like, again, with the news, like how they know that people do love, this amount of people got
I think
shot.
it's definitely a bad idea to have it on
That's my point.
mainstream.
Dude, just to show you how much people love just wreckage and carnage, I forget which European country started doing this, where after an accident, they set up like these temporary walls around the accident, and it actually sped up traffic.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because the amount of people who rubberneck, and I do it every single time, because I know people are doing it. It frustrates me. Because anytime I see traffic, someone probably got into a car accident. Everybody wants to drive super slow. We'd be where we need to be now, but everybody wants to turn around and look. And as I drive by, even though I'm annoyed with everybody in front of me that's doing it, my neck turns and I look.
I don't want to see what's going on, but like I'm out there staring, like, okay, another car accident.
Yeah.
Unless the car's really fucked up and some crazy shit, then I'll
wanna
like,
see
be
it.
looking for seconds.
Yeah.
But usually it's like, oh, another car accident. Hopefully people are safe.
And again, putting a wall there actually makes people drive
I
faster.
believe that.
Which is that people do crave that.
That was crazy too. Like when a cop pulls somebody over and they're on the side of the road, everybody drives slower. Even though you can see that the police is out of the car, talking to the person giving a ticket, everybody's still driving slow. It's like, what do you think? The police officer's gonna jump in his car and chase you?
Yep.
Like the fucking ego of you to think, like, go your fucking normal speed. Like, go. It's ridiculous. People are so scared. I guess the people just programmed as older people.
And there's
I always
probably
find that
are,
funny, it's like,
there are also people I'm sure who are like, what did he do? Is it like some sort of criminal that he pulled over?
That too, yes.
But like, yeah, no, I remember saying that a while ago. Like, why are people like worried that cop is gonna like chase him down? Like the dude is on foot. You know, all right, now you're good. I'm gonna go chase that person down. I'm gonna run back to his car. It's not gonna happen.
Not happening.
Yeah, no, that's like now. Do you feel like knowing that people have malevolence in them that it makes you think less of them?
No, you respect people who show a fierceness or an intensity, who can show a fierceness or intensity, or have. If you know somebody has the capacity for malevolence, like you definitely respect them more, way more.
I'm saying in a whole, like the fact that, like again, the fact that people when they're
It's like
driving
a marine,
down,
dude, like a marine, like who's like killed people or not killed people, who's like a trained killer, or like
hero.
somebody like UFC fighter, like these people are savages and you respect them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an admirable quality. But my point is the fact that 99% of the people, when they're driving in traffic or next to an accident, they're like, their fingers are a little crossed to see some carnage and some wreckage.
Do I think little of them? Am I contentious
Of
to them?
humanity, not.
Nah, that's normal.
Yeah, right.
That's normal.
Because the reason why we have that
find
now
it a
is because
little,
it was
like-
very useful back in the day. Again, you needed to be able to kill the boar or the deer or the warring tribe next to you that's trying to like wipe you out. Like,
I get annoyed and I think it's like, oh, these people are pathetic. But sometimes if I'm irritable, but I think it's fine. I think it's normal. I just get annoyed because it's slowing me up.
not even the
big
traffic part. Not even the traffic part. The fact that people are evil. Like,
I think humans are pathetic. There's a lot of everybody's pathetic. Everybody has pathetic aspects of themselves, and people should sort themselves out and like not.
No, I'm
make
talking to the
themselves more
point
whole.
where it's like repulsive and disgusting. Like imagine we design an AI to bring it full circle to that, where we design an AI and their purpose is to spread good and to destroy evil through the eyes of the AI.
Do good, destroy evil.
Yeah, it is going to wipe out humans.
I don't know about that.
Because if it was aware that we do,
because we're not black and white. We're not.
No, we're not. Exactly.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Exactly. So because we have that little bit of darkness in us, the AI might look at us like we are something that needs to be wiped out.
Maybe. I mean,
Because
that's a popular argument.
Mm-hmm. But again, it comes back
I
to
don't
like
think
the
so
whole,
because humans are generally good. Like people are.
Of course.
We're built in to be very empathetic.
if
in
we're more
situations,
evil,
if somebody's on the street and got hurt, like everybody's gonna come over and see like, are you all right, and call the police. Like people are extremely empathetic. Something happens. You just don't see it because everybody's like in Manhattan or whatever. Everybody's doing their own thing. But like if something happens or somebody gets hurt or somebody needs help, people are gonna be very quick to help.
Yeah.
It's just people are in their zone, and the persona and the way we are is just be about your own business.
and then like you also have the fact that like the evil things that people do stick out in our head more. So if somebody shoots up a mall,
Negative,
you know the person
negative things are like catch our attention way more than good things.
Yeah.
That's why the news is more negative.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And like you hear about one guy who stabbed somebody in your neighborhood, now you're like scared to walk the street, but like the last 6 months you've seen somebody like, you know, help somebody off the ground, or you hear somebody who donated money to the neighborhood, or someone open a door for you, and you see all these good things, but like you just, because they're so normal, you just pass by them. But like one bad thing happens, like you're on alert, which makes sense that you would do that. But again, it's just us not looking at things at the whole. We're looking at the highlights. So
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like to bring it back to like the creative aspect and like I was thinking about earlier, like this world tends to be more conservative as opposed to liberal.
I think there's a balance, but
Do you think there's like a even balance?
more or less, I think it'll sway back and forth. Like it'll be like, instead of 50-50, it'll be like, 51-49 and 55-45 and then back to 50-50.
You think so?
And like we'll go through times that way. Like for example, like
Maybe it's just New York too. Maybe it's just the place I live. Like if I go to like, I don't know, Texas or
Yeah.
California.
You live in a very
definitely like
busy-
when I went to like California, people are like out and about, and
Dude,
the culture is very different.
You live in the business. You work in the business
Yes.
capital. Like
Yes.
that's what the reason why that thing operates the way it does. New York City is because of the business that it brings in and all that. But you also have the fact that like right now, even though like you have people who think so rigidly and so materialistically, you also have people who live by creating. They make a living. They make mad money because they make movies or music or art. Like that exists more. Like where, yeah, people were more free when they were hunter gatherers and so on. But there was nobody at the time that was a full-time painter. There were people who painted. You know, they'll paint in the caves and stuff.
Not always, but there were painters way up long.
Not full-time painters.
Cave painters and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They were painters. They painted, but they also had to hunt.
Yes.
They also had to build.
Yes.
They also had to build shelters.
Dude, like time off is like a very new thing. Like most people don't know this. Like having the luxury of like having free time. That's like only from like the past like, I believe 100 years, if not 200 years. I believe it's the past 100 years.
No,
people have free time.
Apparently, hunter gatherers had like very short work weeks.
I mean, like okay, like since the Industrial Revolution, we'll say, or
Okay.
like before then, from like I don't know, whatever, since like the 1500s or something, or before then, like we've rarely had free time. Like people have always been serfs and working. Even the richest people have been working day in, day out since like until like the 1900s.
Or worried about getting eaten by a lion all day. And what are you going to do? Create a language and create a book at that point? You couldn't because you had to worry about survival. So that's my point where early on we had the more creative, more loving aspects of us. But we also had to work and we also had to farm and we always had to think about the future. And as time goes by, now there's people who completely just work all the time and probably worked more than they did back at the time. But now you also have people who create more than any of those people. So I do think there's a balance, but I do see where you're seeing there is an imbalance as well.
Yes.
Like I definitely do agree with that. I do think
I think it's just
we lost sight.
I think it's just the way the world is that like the game is that we need to play the capitalist game, and we need to work for money, even though you can argue it's not really worth it, because you don't really need money once you have enough money to pay off your bills and save up enough money so that your money does make you happier. So it's not really worth it, but that's the game we need to play, which is like in itself a more conservative game because you need to work and save and conserve what you have. But I don't know. I have a lot of I get really tempted to live a more zen life and just be completely detached from everything.
Me and Christian were talking
Because
about
I have
yesterday.
temperamentally, I can detach myself from things very easily.
But then again, you'd lose certain things.
Hmm?
You would lose certain things.
Yeah, there's always a
So it's
always
like
something.
Yeah, cool. I don't
It's
have
so
to. I don't have to
valuable
work all
detach
day.
yourself from things. 'Cause you can detach yourself from God, everything. If you want, if you like practice Zen or if you just have the temperament for it. But then you're not being responsible.
You're not being responsible, and then
which is the main counter argument.
Yeah, because the thing, like me and Christian were talking yesterday. Apparently, there's like this tribe of people who live in Mexico, and they just eat mushrooms all day and they hang out. And it's like that would be cool not to have to worry about taxes and my car payments and my car fucking getting towed. That'd be nice to get away from that stuff. But then, what happens when I get sick? What happens if there's a drought in the area? I starve and die. But I want to live longer. I was designed to want to live longer.
Yeah, but you could be fine with it.
But now on the other end, where it's like, yeah, I can be free and create, but now I don't have money, so I don't have a computer, I don't have an electricity bill, I don't have internet, so now I can't create a podcast. So I'm no longer creating.
You can just have like a part-time job, have enough to pay your bills, pay your rent, eat, and just put the rest of your money into your creativity.
Yeah. See,
and
that's
just
something more
detach yourself
moderate.
from everything and just be in the ether, whatever you want to call it, all the time. Detach yourself from everything. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
I don't think there's anything wrong from detaching yourself and relinquishing responsibility and doing that. I think that's an option. It's like monks in monasteries.
You're not
gotta take a-
relinquishing responsibility, though.
I mean, you have your own responsibilities for yourself,
but
what
you
you
still
want to do as a person. I mean, the responsibility of like getting a job, having a family, giving back to the community. And
That's still responsibility, though, because now you still have a part-time job you have to show up to. You're still giving back to the community. That's a responsibility of the community and the family.
It's the minimum, yeah.
Like relinquishing it is like, even then, like you would still like, let's say you just move to the jungle and like you just fucking cut off everything else. You'd still have responsibility to build a shelter and maintain it and hunt for food and so on. There's always, once you relinquish responsibility
for yourself, I'm saying.
Yeah, but once you relinquish responsibility, then you die, right? Because now you're not thinking more than 2 seconds out.
I'm trying to separate the responsibility of yourself, because yeah, you would die.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you need to have the responsibility for yourself to feed yourself and whatnot. Yeah, but I mean, like the responsibility of others and trying to be a person, like, you know, go to school to be a doctor so I can help people.
Mm-hmm.
That's you know, a responsibility.
That's a heavier. Yeah, people have a bigger burden than others. Absolutely.
Or you can just be a musician and just have a part-time job and just pay your bills and just do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. But like even that person
bring people value besides.
That's my point.
Value.
They're still giving value though. They're
If
still
they make
being
it, yeah.
Except any part-time job, you're still getting something done. You're working at a supermarket, let's say part-time. Well, people need to get the food to them, and the only way that happens is if every piece is in there.
Yeah.
You know, so you're still
Set up that way,
contributing. Yeah, where someone who is a burden instead, where like now you have someone who's collecting unemployment. And
Collect unemployment, you live in your mom's basement, and yeah.
That is an actual problem because now other people are more responsible because of you. Mm-hmm. That's not the direction you want to go to. Like again, even if you're taking care of yourself and you're living in a jungle, at least you're not being a burden on other people. Where at least, you know what I mean? Where the difference is there. That's why I say like you don't want to relinquish responsibility, because relinquishing responsibility means collecting unemployment. Because there's got to be somehow that you're bringing food to yourself.
You're giving away your power when you do that.
Oh, you're completely you're dependent.
Yes.
And you don't want that because now you have no power, and then someone decides, sorry, you're no longer collecting that unemployment, and now you starve to death. Boom, done. So that's the difference there, and that's why I wanted to make sure like I clarified that.
Of course.
Because working a part-time job and then creating, that's perfectly fine. I wouldn't even say that's less valuable than the person who works 60 hours a week. That's fine. Because now, not only are you getting things done and constantly moving, but you're creating value for yourself too. Because now you have a purpose, you're doing things, and yeah, you're creating music. Like, sure, it's fun, but people get value from listening to music.
Let's say you have a big family, and maybe you have like a sibling or, you know, some relatives that like maybe there's somebody who's you know, needs special attention. Mm-hmm. And you know, you have siblings, younger siblings, and your parents maybe don't have that much. Maybe you have like a mom, only a mother, and then you have a brother or a sister, and you have, you know, the situation I'm laying out. You can, and you're the older sibling, and instead of helping these people, you know, working and putting your time into giving these people attention and, you know, setting an example for your siblings, and, you know, giving time into helping your family and whatnot. Instead, you move to, I don't know, Idaho.
You bounce on everybody. Peace.
Yeah, you bounce on everybody, and it's like, I want to live my life away from all these people because all these people are, you know, whatever it is. They're distracting me from what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then you go over there and you put all your time into, I don't know, spiritual practices or music or something. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was hoping you would give me what you thought, so I can ask what do you think about it, because yeah, you can look at it from both ends. Like, you can say that person's selfish, right? There's people who are counting on you and you're just bouncing on them. But on the other hand, it's like you don't owe these people like anything. Why do you have to take care of them because you were born in that family? Like, so it's like, it's on both ends. I remember meeting some guy and he was just telling me about, like, you know,
like your passion is you want to go away and you can't do it here because your mom's depending on you, and maybe your mom's not taking as much responsibility as she should be. So she's depending on you to do a lot of things, and so you really can't do anything. You don't have a lot of time. Whenever you're home, there's all these things you have to do. So if you want to go away and seek your passion, you have to run away from your responsibility to do that.
I would
and
say,
you know, things are going to be way better if you stayed, obviously, because you're setting up with your siblings, and you can put time into your family. And
I think it goes back to intent, like I was saying. Like, are you running away because you don't want to take care of these people, or are you going for your passion? Which makes sense. Like,
does it matter though? Because regardless, both are true.
Yeah, at the end of it, people are missing out. So now, you're now essentially battling between your responsibility over your family or your responsibility to your spiritual and your path and your passions? Because by taking care of your family, you're letting go of those responsibilities, and that's kind of selfish to yourself. And let's say like your spiritual path was to go be like a priest or something, or some sort of mentor to people. By dropping that, you're doing harm to those people that you could have helped.
Opportunity cost.
Yeah, there's an opportunity cost, exactly. Or if like, hey, you give up your musical dream, you might be doing harm to people because you're not giving them the music that they would have gotten otherwise. Yeah, I think it's a toss up.
It's a hard one. I mean, that's like the. I mean, you can obviously make it more dramatic, but that's like a strong example of like leaving the responsibility. I mean, you could be the person who's like, my mom had a rough upbringing, and I was the oldest sibling, so I had to stay around for my family, and I don't regret it, but I'm happy I stayed around, and they needed me.
You said the word once. I was thinking it. I think it's another important factor.
Because a lot of people like that.
Yeah. Oh, and it happens all the time. An important factor is, what do you think you're going to regret in the future? Are you going to regret? You'll probably regret either, but which one would you regret more? Like, oh yeah, I went and I got that music deal, but I never spent time with my family. Like, that would haunt somebody who prioritizes that stuff. Again, it comes to what you value more, but family is a very important thing, whether it's biologically related or not. Your tribe is very important, and leaving them to suffer is not a good thing. Definitely not.
And then there's the gray area in between, where you can be, let's say, an only child. Your parents are very successful. They're going to pay for your schooling. You can go away to another school and then put all your time in. Like, there you have complete freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, because nobody's dependent on you. So at that point, moving away to Idaho or whatever the fuck would be completely fine.
Yeah.
In fact, that's probably what you should do, because you could be your own person and you can, become independent.
Yeah, everybody deals with that. Because I don't, like, I hate snow. I hate taxes. So New York isn't the best place for me to live. But I would like to live somewhere else. I would like to live somewhere that I can walk outside in December and not have to put on a coat. I'm going to go get my mail. Oh, let me put on 4 layers.
Dude, I go out my fucking boxers by January. You get used to that shit.
Either way. But for me, it's more of like a selfish thing, because I know I need the family support as well. But yeah, I'm sure people deal with that all the time.
Of course.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that shit. Fuck that. We've been going on for a bit. You good to end it? Is there anything you want to add before we head off?
That's it. Get to know your shadow.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. We went through some conversations that were very, very different, very interesting.
Love is the answer.
Love is the answer.
Obviously.
Don't kill people. Yeah. It's okay to
it's fine to kill people as long as you love them.
And that's where we're going to end the podcast. Peace!